Welcome to Focus on Liberia. Welcome and welcome to yet another edition of our program here at Focus on Liberia. I'm Sincere hosting the Hour of Politics. We are broadcasting from our headquarters in Atlanta, and this broadcast is also being relayed live on the radio in Liberia on FM 107.9. That is Hot FM in Monrovia, Liberia. Welcome to the broadcast. Again, I'm Anthony C. And this is yet another edition of our program, The Hour of Politics. Let's get started here quickly. The topic for today is quite too interesting, and I will urge you, if you are in Radio Land in Liberia, to remain tuned to this broadcast. And if you are on the social media, that is cyberspace, please do us that usual favor, hit that share button. Let's get the discussion to many Liberians to listen. The topic, the closing chapter of Senator Dillon Plain Ticket Lies. Oh, yes. This is a closing chapter of Senator Dillon Plain Ticket Lies. So welcome, and let us get started here. So Dillon, for some reason, became the people's senator. And we are asking the question, how and why Senator Dillon rose to such political popularity in such a short time? That's the question we are asking to get us started. The CDC got elected overwhelmingly. The CDC in no time became a complete letdown, became a disappointment. We all along knew the CDC was this mass-based grassroots political movement. It was more like a political party. It has given hope to millions, especially the young, including the old. People from all ethnicity and political background, for some reason, felt that the CDC needed to be given a chance. But yet, in no time from the get-go, the CDC completely lost its bearings. The CDC did not even know how to get the game going. And so disappointment in no time started filtering in. And in no time, there became a vacuum. Oh, yes, there became a vacuum because the CDC was in despair. The CDC did not have, hope of the government. The CDC didn't know where to start. And so there was so much confusion, there was so much chaos at the very beginning of the CDC administration. And so because of the overwhelming disappointment that Liberians, started sensing at the very beginning of the CDC administration, surprisingly so, Liberians started looking for an alternative. They started looking for somebody because the guy, Joshua, the party CDC, that they trusted became a complete letdown in the shortest possible time. Because this is the group of people, Liberians, who have had enough with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and the Unity Party. And they came to this conclusion that the Unity Party and Ellen Johnson Sirleaf were nothing short of another letdown. And that is how many Liberians gravitated to the CDC. The CDC won overwhelmingly, so to speak, looking at the numbers. And so to have seen this CDC, that when it was in opposition, bash the Unity Party, bash Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, called her names, protested, advocated for everything that was right for Liberia, to not know what to do at the very beginning was like a slap in the face of the people of Liberia. And so they were like, how could this happen? News coming from here and there, leaking, and corruption news started filtering in. And then prices started going up high. Life became difficult. Transportation, start skyrocketing. You talk about the process of basic commodity. Everything started going up. Life was in no time becoming unbearable. And so Liberians started contrasting in no time the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration with the Georgia administration, and they realized in no time, folks, that Ellen, who was rejected by them, the Unity Party that was rejected by them, that they saw as not only insensitive to their needs and could not improve their material condition, they came to realize somehow, that Unity Party, that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration that they have rejected because they were experiencing untold suffering was somehow better. And so it had given them a clear picture in the shortest possible time that this CDC government, this President Joshua, was not up to the task. He had no clue what he was up to, and they couldn't stomach it. And so the idea of trying to find an alternative became something that was on their minds. And somebody stepped in that void. Yes, there were many politicians, especially the opposition folks, who were talking about the incompetence, who were talking about the corruption at the get-go, who were talking about the arrogance, who were talking about the inability for the CDC to be able to lead, to govern, to provide leadership, to even hold the previous government accountable. Talking about the number of incompetent people the CDC have infested with its government. Talking about the recycled politicians and recycled public officials. Some of them who have characters that are completely bankrupt, failed the government. And so even folks in the CDC in no time came to realize this is not the CDC we voted for. The very people we accused yesterday are the ones that our own guy we are putting in his government. And so the disappointment was overwhelming. The need for an alternative, the need for a voice became something Liberians started searching for. And so, as I was trying to tell you, though there are many politicians in Liberia who step forth to fill the void of leadership, and of course, as opposition folks will always do, they will always talk. They will always try to project themselves as the alternative. They will always try to tell you how they can be different. And so in no time, of the many politicians who became vocal, who became advocates against the excesses, the blunders of the CDC, of the many politicians was a guy called Dillons Dillon. He came with a message, and that message in no time started resonating. And let me remind you, there were many politicians, but for him, he found that way somehow to communicate. And the way he communicated and that he has been trying to do resonated with the Liberian people. So what was Dillon's message? You might be wondering. So what was Dillon's message to the Liberian people, and how did Dillon establish himself, for which the Liberian people started putting some semblance of trust in him? Dillon's message was about transparency, truth-telling, and stopping business as usual. Dillon, fast forward, will go to be a candidate, and he will campaign on the message as being the light. And that light was bought by the Liberian people. Dillon was pointing accusing fingers at the CDC. He was pointing accusing fingers at 8 officials, including the president. Dillon told the Liberian people that the economy of Liberia was in the toilet, and that the Senate was rotting, and that the Senate was dark, and he was the one to go there to shine the light in that darkness in the Senate, so that the Liberian people will be able to know and see what actually happening in the Senate and in the government. So he campaigned. He tried to change the political narrative. The political narrative, especially on campaign, has been teachers, rights, and money. This Dillon told the people, no, that is not the right way to go. We must run a government that is based on truth-telling, that is based on transparency, and stopping the business as usual. So he ran a campaign, and he did not give a dime to anybody. That is how Dillon established himself. He established himself as this moral compass, he will always say. And so the Liberian people bought Dillon's lecture. Dillon was against lies. Dillon was against corruption. Dillon was against extravagance by public officials. Dillon was against arrogance by public officials. That was the Dillon the Liberian people saw as somebody to trust. And so what happened? In Dillon's context, against a popular political party, CDC, that Dillon, though Joshua and the CDC that have had Monserrado County as its stronghold, Dillon will go to beat them massively. He defeated Paulita Wie with 102,000 plus votes. That Dillon again, standing on a message of transparency, stopping business as usual, establishing himself as the light, establishing himself as a man of moral compass, who go to defeat yet another CDC candidate, this time a very popular one, with 202,000 votes. This time, he doubled the number of votes he defeated the CDC with when he first won them, because he has established them. He has resonated with the Liberian people as a different kind of politician, a politician who will tell no lies, who will be transparent, and he made a lot of promises that he was going to the Senate to expose anything. Dillon spoke against brown envelopes. That is how this guy established himself in the midst of political despair that the Liberian people were engulfed with at the very get-go of the CDC administration. Liberians are always tested for a hero. Liberians are always looking for a savior. The savior they saw in Joshua and the CDC, that savior disappeared. That savior turned to a disappointment. And so they started searching again for another savior. And Dillon came forth and said, I am your guy. I am the light. I want to be the light in the darkness. I want to be able to show you the brown envelopes that they continue to take. Dillon, even prior to becoming a candidate in the election that he will win, he went on record for speaking against all the ills in the government. He resonated with the Liberian people, and so they bought his lecture. And not only did they vote for him one time, but they did 2 times. And he won more votes when he was voted for the second time, because he tried to maintain the message that he had preached. But this Dillon will soon start showing another color, which forms the basis of the topic today, that is the closing chapter of Senator Dillon Plain Ticket Lies. The guy who spoke against lies, the guy who was Mr. Transparency, the guy who was stopping business as usual. This guy. So let's look at whether or not this is Senator Dillon first time doing something contrary to the very standard he set. Let us look at that for a moment. So talking about that, Senator Dillon is on record, and I quote, "We set the standards. We have without doubt become the compass for integrity, for openness, transparency, and accountability in public service." That is our guy, Senator Dillon. I'm quoting him. He said they set the standard, and without doubt have become the compass of integrity, openness, and transparency and accountability in public service. That was Dillon speaking. This is the kind of language that Dillon was able to throw at the Liberian people. And in their desperation, in their quest for something genuine, for something different, for newness in the nation, for transparency and accountability in the nation, saw Dillon as a truth teller. They have forgotten this Dillon who had rolled with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who had rolled with Robert Sirleaf, who is on record for even saying he saw access and cash on it. Paraphrasing him, Dillon is on record for saying that when people wanted to see Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, when they had lobbied with him, yes, it was right for him to have even taken some money to have granted them access. Dillon said that, and he can't deny it. But the Liberian people will know that. The Dillon is also on record for saying, I had the gravy before me and I left the gravy. The Dillon who was rolling with the Sirleaf, who rolled with the Unity Party administration, when the gravy was drying out, that was when he left. The Liberian people have forgiven him because he had campaigned to say he was this light. He was this moral compass. He was about openness. He was this compass for integrity, for openness, for transparency and accountability in public service. Because of this message, and Liberian people yearning for something different, because he has carried himself and portrayed himself, and maybe it may be safe now to say, because he has pretentiously succeeded in telling the Liberian people that he was any different from any other person in the government who happened to be corrupt or with questionable character, this Dillon will be welcomed by the Liberian people. He will become the hope. Dillon will even go as far as establishing a base in the diaspora, the first of its kind, for a senator or a senatorial candidate to amass huge diaspora-based support, not only by words or like morally, but they contributed to him financially. This is how much sense the guy has made. This is the kind of hope this guy was able to instill in Liberians across the globe. He was Mr. Transparency. He was Mr. Light. I don't know if he still is. He was the guy about openness and accountability. And Liberian people accepted him because of the message he has preached. They also accepted him because the CDC they had trusted, the George Weah, president of the Republic of Liberia, they had trusted in their calculation became a complete letdown, a disappointment. And why? Because news of corruption, building of condominiums, building of a church, building of a music studio, and the construction remained unstoppable. Breaking down of structures of a nice street and turning it into a palace. Even his government lied about it at some point that it was for his son, and he was not the one even doing it. These things came in the faces of the Liberian people in a way that they did not anticipate of this president, of this grassroots political party, the CDC. And so Dillon became their guy with this message of openness and transparency. Fast forward, this Senator Dillon, who had made sense, who had established himself as the light, who had established himself as Mr. Integrity and Mr. Openness, Mr. Not Business as Usual, who even went as far as classifying this government as bunch of gangs. He continued to use that word even in his last interview or media appearance. He continued to refer to CDC folks or officials as gang. I like when he uses that word, gang. Why he calling them gang? Because according to him, they are liars, they are thieves, they are incompetent, and they all shower praises on one man who, in Dillon's opinion, and I mean quote Dillon here, Dillon said President Weah is complete evil. Whatever I say here, I'm quoting this person. Dillon is on record for referring to President Weah as evil. Why he call him evil? Because he thinks Joe Weah is corrupt. That is it. That is the lion's share of his reason why he calls President Weah corrupt. I mean, call him evil because he thinks and believes President Weah is corrupt. And I agree with him. Weah is corrupt to the core. But today is Dillon. So this Mr. Truth Teller, who accuses CDC officials, including the president, as complete liar men, has gotten in this business of business as usual. And so let's go to the pattern, the trends of Dillon's record. So let me ask the question first of all. Is Senator Dillon still the light, or has he become something else? Is Dillon practicing what he has preached, or the opposite? Can we talk about that? Yes, we can. So let's talk about Senator Dillon's constant habit of eating his own words, falling flat on his own standard, justifying and apologizing. This is not the first time. We will come to the ticket, which forms the basis of this topic and discussion. So let's talk about that. First, Dillon criticized lawmakers for buying and using expensive cars and promised to use a used car instead of a $40,000 car. That was Dillon prior to even getting elected as a senator. Posted it on social media. He's a social media geek. Dillon will get elected. Dillon will be presented a $45,000 car. This very Dillon who went on record of saying lawmakers were insensitive in the midst of a poor economy in Liberia and for taking $45,000 car. This Dillon who classified lawmakers as insensitive and wicked would take that very $40,000 car. And not only did Dillon take the car, against his own words, against his own standard, by eating his own words, Dillon went on by justifying that. Dillons Supporters pleaded with him, we beg you, for Christ's sake, be the difference you claim you are. Don't take that car, because if you do, then you are no different from the lawmakers who have taken these cars when people in this country are finding it difficult to even find food to eat. Do not take that car. His supporters, the people who campaigned for him, the people who voted for him, they begged him, they were on their knees. This Dillon who said he would not take a $40,000 car if he had the opportunity to be in government, and that he would sell that car, or that he will use a used car instead, far less expensive than a $45,000 car. That Dillon will take that car. And not only that, that Dillon will go to justify that, well, the car was purchased before he got elected. The car was purchased for the senator before him. And so it was right for him to take it. And that he was not the one that bought the car. Oh, Senator Dillon, the cars that you accuse the lawmakers of, you think they put hand in their pocket and took it? It's the same government money. So what difference does it make? So that Dillon will eat his own words, will go against his own standard, and not only that, he will go to justify. To this point, Dillon is still using that car. Pause number one. This Senator Dillon will not stop there. This Dillon, who also was on record or has been on record for criticizing the legislature as being dark, especially the Senate as being dark, as being in business as usual, receiving brown envelopes. Senator Dillon even referred to them as what? Spineless. Dillon got elected. COVID-19 will come. When the Liberian people were in fear, looking at what happened in Liberia when Ebola came, there was a stimulus package. The CDC government felt it had money, or it decided to find money to do a stimulus package for Liberians because they were asked to stay indoor. Liberians were getting beaten by police, brutalized. Many of them were flogged by police in streets. The videos are all around. I remember a lady in the Nicrutan area, my area of Nicrutan, who got humiliated and brutalized by the police officer until she was bleeding profusely, while she could not stay inside upon the orders of the government. When in fact the government was finding rice, oil, and everything for them. I hope that sister got some rice. So Mr. Light and the other lawmakers had to act to give the Liberian people a relief, to do their work for which they've been paid thousands of dollars. This Light, this Mr. No Business as Usual, this Mr. Transparency will collude, will join, will connive, will collaborate with the very lawmakers that he has classified as spineless, as living in darkness, as being insensitive, who don't care about the Liberian people in the actions. He will join them and will take 6,500 to do the work they've been paid for. This Dillon will not stop there. He will come to justify that it was budgeted. This Light is a shining. That Dillon, when he was chastised, later came on and said it was poor judgment on his part. That Dillon would decide that that 6,500, instead of using it for himself, even though he had taken it for himself against his own standard, against his own words. He will not be the light. He will not be different. He will not be Mr. Not Business as usual. He became Mr. Business as usual. He and Prince Johnson's and the others would take that 6,500 and they will pull it in their pocket and he would justify it was budgeted. And he took that $6,000 after he said, well, it was poor judgment on my part. I should not have done it. Dillon will go to apologize. He will go and cry crocodile tears. And he did this after he was chastised. He did not realize his own mistake. He went on a justification mission. He went on a justification mission. And after that justification mission, that justification plane or train did not land well. Hold on, folks. When that justification train did not land well, that Dillon, when he was caught between the Caesars, when he could not justify anymore, when he could not go anywhere else, Mr. Dillon now have to apologize. And his apology was accepted by his followers, by his voters, by the people he lectured that he was Mr. Light. Did Dillon stop there? No. Dillon did not stop there. Dillon, when that noise died down, at some point, this Senator Dillon, he was campaigning again. This gone election. Dillon has also carried himself as a man of peace. And I believe that he is a man of peace. I have no criticism for him on that. Yes, he is a man of peace. He is the man who believes in nonviolence. Dillon accused the CDC and all the officials of government are being immature. They are not mature. They don't have thick skin. They have thin skin. Every little thing can get to them. That's Dillon speaking. They can't stand criticism. They have thin skin. Any small thing, even the correct criticism, constructive criticism can get to them. Dillon speaking about our officials in government. And I agree with him 100%. They have thin skin. They don't even take constructive criticism intended to correct them to do the right thing. Mr. Dillon, I salute you. I'm with you on this. Dillon was speaking. And I agree. But this Dillon, during the last campaign, when there was some form of little fight, you can call it little or big, whatever, but there was a fight between his campaign and Thomas Fowler campaign. This Mr. Maturity, Mr. Peace, Mr. Nonviolence. And I think Dillon believes in nonviolence. And I believe Dillon is a man of peace. I believe that very strongly. But this man of peace will go against this very message. Man of peace who does not believe in violence, but believe in nonviolence. This Dillon who believes in nonviolence and does not believe in violence, when he felt provoked by Thomas Fowler's campaign, this Dillon who carries himself as Mr. Maturity or the mature guy in the room, bursts into anger. He burst into anger. And what did he say? Dillon is on record for saying, if there will be any attempt on my campaign by folks in the CDC, by the Fowler, nobody will campaign in this town. Mr. Maturity speaking. Mr. Nonviolence speaking. He said, there will be no campaign in this town. If a single stone is thrown at any of my events, I will give my supporters the go ahead, we will stone any other campaign in this country. There will be no campaign in Montserrado County. In fact, the law is on record that President we have sanctioned that which happened. And so if he's speaking, it means that we go to President Weah house, we will go to President Weah house, we will storm his house, we will even storm President Weah's convoy. Mr. Maturity speaking, Mr. Nonviolence speaking, Mr. Man of Peace speaking, and I believe, yeah, he's a man of peace. I'm not sure of the maturity one though. I believe that he's Mr. Nonviolence, but he's going against this very principle of nonviolence, this very principle of political maturity, expressing outbursts, who will storm the president convoy, who will storm his house. He even went further by saying, if it means that we use guns, we will use guns. I will lead the troop. I mean, you will not know where the guns come from. Mr. Maturity, Mr. Nonviolence, Mr. Man of Peace. And I continue to remind you, I believe he's a man of peace. He's a man of nonviolence, but he has gone against these very principles he claims he stands by. And that is this disappointment. What happened later? The very Dillon will come to apologize. And in the title, Mr. Apologist in Chief instead of Mr. Light. Dillon could not shine the light when it comes to exercising political tolerance and maturity. He will not live by his own standard to be the Mr. Peace, to be the Mr. Nonviolence, and be the Mr. Maturity. Mr. Dillon will not have the spine. He who accuses all other lawmakers of being spiners, he could not show the slightest spine to exercise the maturity he claims he has and others don't have. He could not have or show the slightest spine to show the political tolerance and nonviolence. And Mr. Peace will not show any slightest spine in his soul when on an outburst. What happened? He came and apologized again. My man, how many times you going to apologize? And Dillon did not just apologize. Dillon apologized after he was chastised, after he was criticized, after he was told that he was wrong. That was the only reason he came out to say, I was wrong. The way I spoke, I should not have spoken like that. Every time you need to be told, before you can realize your mistake and wrong, and you are the light, and you are accusing others of being gain, of being in this business as usual, of having what you call thin skin and summer-minded. That's your man, Mr. Light. He won't stop there. That other noise in it. And of recent, there was a $15,000. Senator Dillon, along with the lawmakers, to $15,000, and he justified it as legislative engagement fund, and also that it was budgeted. Again, Mr. Dillon is joining lawmakers. The guy who is on record for saying our economy is in the toilet and allotting more money to lawmakers and government officials is insensitive. It is not fair, and I agree. This is the Dillon that I like. This is the Dillon that I like, who sees insensitivity in budgeting. That's the Dillon that I like. But the Dillon who will go against his own standard, instead of being Mr. Sensitive, will become Mr. Insensitive, the very thing he had criticized and on record for, and taking $15,000 and will go on another justification train that it was budgeted. It's for legislative engagements. And after he was being criticized as senator, you told us you were going to be different. Senator, you criticized brown envelopes. Senator, you said the place was dark. Senator, you on record that we need to put more money into education and that and there. Why are you taking this money? Senator, this is coronavirus time. I'm not sure our government or the legislature have had any executive or extraordinary section to set aside some money to buy vaccine for our people. This pandemic that is killing people has no cure. It can only be prevented by securing vaccine. Our Lord Senator will not muster the courage, will not devour any spine in any shape or form, but will connive, will collude with the very spineless lawmakers. These guys he claims that are in the darkness. He will join them. They will set aside $15,000 for something he call or they call legislative engagement, and he will post about it as though he was doing good for us. And when he was being criticized about this, Dillon will turn around and now he say he taking the money to the Ministry of Health. He want to give it to LIST. He want to give it to this other institution for it to be used. He want to use it for what you call to give it to indigent children to pay their school fees. He want to use it for library. He want to use it to support market women. He was all over the place. He was confused. This is what happened when you yourself become spineless and insensitive in the midst of the economy being in the toilet. In fact, the law is on record for saying the economy is not only in the toilet now, it has entered the septic tank. Your economy is in the septic tank. And you, Mr. Dillon, taking $15,000 for legislative engagement. Then you turn it right instead of legislative engagement. Mr. Light. So Dillon, after he was being criticized, and when he came to his senses that was insensitive on his part to have colluded, connived, and joined his fellow lawmakers to allow for themselves $15,000 in the midst of a pandemic that's killing our people, in the midst of people not taking pay, one protest after the other, this senator will not stand for the Liberian people. He will come and go on Facebook as he will usually do, that going forward, I will seek wise counsel. You see the pattern, you see the trend, you see the continuous behavior of this man becoming insensitive, justifying, and then going on to apologize. And then it becomes an achievement for him. And then those who still love him, they celebrate that. And I will come to that. And so, folks, Senator Dillon, who say going forward, I will seek wise counsel. Let's clap for the senator. He has realized after he justified that was budgeted, he has realized it was insensitive. He should not have done it. They should have allotted the money and use it maybe on COVID. Now he come to himself, said, now he's going to seek the wise counsel. Let's see whether he follow his own promise that he will seek wise counsel to guide his decision, to minimize mistakes and errors. Let's see. Few weeks later, or a month later, this, not even a month, few weeks later, this man who promised that he would seek wise counsel did not seek wise counsel when he got ready to go to America for a visit. This Mr. Light, this Mr. Not business as usual, this Mr. Man of the people will not seek wise counsel when it comes to getting a plane ticket to go to America. And he lied about it, and that is what we have come to finally. So what happened? Senator Dillon referred to his fellow lawmakers as being spineless, did not even have the spine Senator Dillon, who referred to his fellow lawmakers as being spineless, would not even have the spine, would not show spine in his soul on something simple as plane ticket. Dillon will not do it. Senator Dillon will not do it. So what happened? Folks, you want to know what happened? Let me bring it to you. So this is Dillons Dillon. You see him there. So he bought this plane ticket. First, he told us that he bought his own ticket. Let me bring that part and read it for you. So when the whole ticketing came about, and how did it all start? Senator Dillon, so he left Liberia. He arrived in America and took a picture and put it on Facebook. And I don't know, he was trying to tell him, according to him, he was trying to tell his supporters, the Liberian people, that he has arrived in America. But the picture he took it in the first class section of the aircraft. He took the picture and he put it on Facebook. He always his own problem. This guy. He put it on social media. So when people look at Dillon sitting or standing in the first class section, what's what? The Senator Dillon fly first class? People said no, Dillon he flew first class. That is why he's in the first class section of the aircraft, and he took the picture and put it on Facebook. And this is a man who says that people are all us in government as insensitive. You go in the first class section and took picture and put it on Facebook. What are you trying to communicate, Senator Dillon? 99.9% of your voters are hungry people. And you're showing them that you fly in first class, or even you deny, first of all, that you didn't fly first class, right? So what's the point of showing it? He said, oh, you just want to. And this is what Dillon said. Let's read it first of all. Let me not talk plenty here. So Dillon went on a justification speech here. He says, so I purchased my ticket, not from government coffers, not taxpayers' money. I can use my personal earning to choose to fly any section on a plane. It's justified. But I always choose to spend judiciously. He's also lying. And or to my own convenience as I feel necessary. Dillon. Dillon talking about convenience. So I thought you say you are Mr. Sensitive. I thought you say you're not insensitive. So you're talking about your own convenience, right? The people that voted for you, do you know the kind of inconvenience life they are living economically in the country? Do you not know that? Dillon continue. Now, as can be seen from the screenshot of my electronic ticket, this guy would take a screenshot of his ticket and he will pull it on social media, justifying that he did not fly first class. He was deceiving Liberians, his own supporters. When the news came about that he flew first class, he said, no, I did not. Let me read that for you. He continued, I purchased economy class seat from Monrovia to America. You listening? The photo of me seated in the economy class were also posted. During the flight, I walked over to chat with a foreign friend in the business class section of the plane, and now I see the naysayers and spin doctors running with Dillons Dillon through business class. This is why I always laugh out loud, ha ha ha, when people make themselves look so dumb and silly without making honest effort to show or find out the facts truth before running around in the name of being moral police. You'll go find another lie again so I can beat you with the truth. Ha 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 ha. Folks, you just listen to Dillon. So this is Dillon who was caught flying first class, went on another justification and denial spread. And now Dillon is calling people that are trying to show that Dillon, you're not telling the truth. He called them spin doctors. He said they are considering themselves as moral police. meaning that they were lying. Dillon is justifying that those people that saw that he flew first class were spin doctors, meaning that they are turning the truth around and they are medical doctors in doing it, or they hold PhD in doing it. Dillon is accusing them of their lying, and he, Dillon, telling the truth that he did not fly first class. He said he purchased a ticket. But the very Dillon later on will say his purchase was purchased by his supporters in America. First he lied, he purchased his own ticket. He turned around, he said he's not the one who purchased the ticket. His supporters purchased the ticket. And people who were raising concern that he flew first class were lying. They were spin doctors. They are considering themselves as moral police. And he didn't stop there. He said he will beat them with the truth. They should go find another lie. Go and find another lie again so I can beat you with the truth. So, Senator Dillon, the question is, what is the truth? Is the truth that you did not fly first class? This is the very Dillon now who justified for days, who insulted intelligently people who have raised the issue of his deception and lie. This Dillon turned around and started to apologize. And some people in the opposition, they are buying his apology. You see the pattern. When Dillon took the car, he justified. When Dillon took the 6,500, he justified and King apologized. When Dillon threatened to stone convoy and President House, when he was criticized, he came and apologized. Dillon only goes on to apologize when he's caught between the scissors. So front page did an article in which they lay out everything. When Senator Dillon could not go anywhere, when he was caught in his lies, when there was no way for Dillon to turn, that was when he came to say he apologized. And this is the light, fellow Liberians. This is your light. And so let's read Dillon's apology here. Thank you for rightfully scorning me. My act of not telling a simple truth about a plane ticket was wrong and uncharacteristic of me, for which I am being deservedly bashed. I understand your feelings and sentiments of disappointment. I owe it to you, and my conscience never to fall so cheaply. Yeah, Dillon, you fell so cheaply to your own lies. Liberia deserves better, and we must always strive to be and do better. We are imperfect humans. We learn, we move on. As always, God is in control. This is what Senator Dillon does. Anytime he's caught between the scissors, he said God, he will always say God is in control. But this Dillon will not forgive others when they do wrong. He is calling the CDC folks up to now as gang. But some people, he calling them gang because of lies, because of corruption, because of brown envelopes, because of lack of transparency. He's calling them gangs. So, Mr. Dillon, how do you want us to call you? Do you want us to call you Mr. Light? Do you still want us to call you Mr. Not Insensitive? Do you still want us to call you Mr. Maturity? Mr. Accountability? Senator Dillon, do you really want us to do so? So, folks, Senator Dillon, his lies caught up with him. He's only apologizing now because he has nowhere to go. He's caught between the scissors. He lied about something that simple as plane ticket. So the question is, if Senator Dillon can lie about something that simple, plane ticket, according to him, he himself bought it and changed the story that his supporters in Friends of Dillon in America bought it. If he can lie about something that simple, What are the things that Senator Dillon had lied about that we don't know? And the reason why he's apologizing because he's caught, and that is how he has behaved all this long. When he's caught, he apologizes. So the things that we don't know about, that Dillon lied about, what are those things? So why, if Dillon was not cornered, he will not apologize? Talking about he shamed his mother. You shame your mother, Senator Dillon? This is not about your mother. The people that voted for you, you let them down, Senator Dillon. You let them down. So this is the lie that we're supposed to follow. Taking brown envelopes in the name of legislative engagement. Lying about plane ticket, apologizing, Mr. Outburst. And some people listening to me, we have all kinds of things to say. Oh, look at this guy, yeah, he on government side. What government are you talking about? This government? This incompetent, this good for nothing government? This government that is more than insensitive, where I agree with Senator Dillon. The government that is corrupt. And this guy who went in the Senate, who has given hope to many Liberians. And some of you who sometimes call others hater for holding leaders accountable. I convinced nearly 15 people to vote for Senator Dillon. And unlike some people, if I give you support in any shape or form, I will hold you accountable because I don't want anything from you. The Liberia that we want should not be a Liberia of deception and pretense. We have had pretentious elements in our midst for so long. We have had insensitive leaders for so long. They have come, they have lied to us, they have made promises, they have set standards, they have gone back on their own words, backpedal, and done all manners of things. Some of you here telling us, at least the man has apologized, others have not apologized, so that should be an achievement, and we should celebrate him. Imagine how many lies he has told in less than 3 years. Imagine how he has eaten his own words in less than 3 years. And some people in the opposition community who call themselves advocates, who call themselves of standing for the truth, we saw Senator Dillon, and don't do it again, we accept your apology. If you want us to accept the apology, the crocodile apology coming from Dillons Dillon for letting us down, becoming a complete letdown, and becoming so insensitive like others, becoming so spineless, lying about something this simple like a plane ticket, then let us forgive Joshua and the CDC. Then let the Liberian people elect them. Is that the standard you're setting? That is an achievement now? That he is the only man in government who, after doing something wrong and lying and colluding with others and becoming insensitive like everybody else because he has apologized, that is breaking news for us and we should celebrate that. This is the standard? Is this not mediocrity? Do you really want a country? The reason Liberians elected Dillon in an overwhelming fashion is because he has established himself as somebody different. That was the reason. It's not because he is fine. It's not because he speaks good English. It's not because he is the only Liberian. It's not because he has done anything for Liberians. The last time I checked, Dillon has been enjoying himself with the Salibs. He was not suffering. But they voted for him because he said he was going to be different. And after he has made one mistake after the other, after justifying, and whenever he's cornered and caught, that is when he will apologize. And you accept that apology, and you think that is an achievement, and we should celebrate him. And I see some people talking about Dillon is better. He's the only good guy. Shame on those of you who are in this habit of saying we have to forgive Senator Dillon. I'm not trying to tell you don't forgive anybody. It's your right to forgive anybody. So what are you going to do? You're going to elect him because he apologized? The CDC can follow that standard. The Grays, the 12 who took $15,000 and spent it for plane tickets, and they to try to deny it, let 12 come and apologize to and get some kind of proper crocodile apology and put on Facebook. I'm sorry, Ashim Amola. You people should forgive me. I should not have done it. Let 12 come and do it so we can forgive 12 on the $25 million. Let's forgive the CDC government on all the corruption. Let's forgive President Weah on all the corruption, flying private jet, lying to us about a plane coming, and embarrassingly showing us a plane cake and all of the other lies that they have told. Let's forgive them. And let us re-elect them. And then we will have a country. And this is the standard you all are setting, and you call yourself advocates, and you think you want a Liberia, a glorious land of opportunity that will be corruption-free or will minimize corruption. And you think you're serious. And you think you are eloquent with that. So let do that. Let go by your standard. Let's talk to the citizens, the government. Let the government apologize. Let's forgive the government. Let's elect the government again so that the prices can continue to go up, so that the economy will continue to be in a free fall. That is the standard you're setting. Let go with it and see if it will get us anywhere. So the question I'm asking you, you will say we should forgive Dillon. Dillon is only apologizing now because he's caught. What about the ones in which he's not caught? And the ones in which he will not be caught in the future? What about those ones? So you see how you are wrong? You see how you yourself have become a letdown? You have become selective. You are not fighting for that Liberia. You lower the standard when it comes to your guy. You all support your own little devils. And you say you love your Liberia. That is not my Liberia. Folks, this is how we will come to the end of this broadcast. Dillon, the light is not the light he has made us to believe. He has become an insensitive guy like any other lawmaker. That is who he has become. I will not accept his crocodile apology. It is fake. It is not genuine. It does not come from his stomach. He went on a justification and denial mission. He classified people as spin doctors and moral police, that they were wrong. He was going to beat them with the truth. Little did we know the truth was he actually flew first class, and he lied about something this simple as a plane ticket. And this is the person he wants us for also to accept his apology. Complete nonsense. I'm not going to take it. Folks, we have an advertisement here for you, and we will be closing here soon. But before we close, just give me a moment here, and we will be closing, and I have something.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
And I'm Anthony C. in this yet another edition of the Hour of Politics. Focus on Liberia want to show Liberians in the world the truth about Liberia. The truth about Liberia is not when somebody lie about a plane ticket, goes on a justification mission, call others as spin doctors, accuse them of they pretending to be moral police, and when he can no longer continue with his lies, he comes to apologize. And you think that is the truth about Liberia? It may be true for some of you, but it's not true for me. And it should not and never ever be the truth about Liberia. I resist that your selective truth. And you are equally part of the problem that you are complaining about. For our advertisement, today, Focus on Liberia will be hosting the political leader of the ANC, Mr. Alexander Bellende Cummings. Mr. Alexander Bellende Cummings will be in an exclusive interview with my partner, Dennis Jah, here at Focus on Liberia. This broadcast will be live both on YouTube and on Facebook, and also it will be live on the radio in Liberia on Hot FM 107.9, and it will also be live on the radio, I believe it's Truth FM in Liberia, and you do not want to miss it. An exclusive interview with Mr. Alexander Bellende Cummings, political leader of the opposition ANC and an executive of the opposition CPP. He will be here, and we got some tough and serious questions for him. He will be in the hot seat. You do not want to miss the interview. The interview will be fair, it will be frank, it will be serious, it will not be compromising, because we are looking for a Liberia. Now the one Dillon is giving us, now the one George Weah is giving us, now the one Samuel Tuer and his like, and if I may borrow Dillon's words, the CDC again are giving us. Oh yes, I will say it. And so folks, I want to say thank you for following this yet another exciting edition of our program here at Focus on Liberia. I'm Anson Sia, and I brought you yet another edition of the Hour of Politics. This is how we will come to the end of our broadcast. And folks, you know, we do not end any of our broadcasts without bringing you this nationalistic song that says, we are all Liberians, and only Liberians. We will always remain, irrespective of you picking up a foreign passport. When you open your mouth to speak, we will know you to be a Liberian. Even if our own people are trying to tell us that we are different nationality because of a mere paper, we are still Liberians. Thank you for watching. Don't miss the exclusive interview with Alexander Bellende Cummings with my partner Dennis Jah at 6 p.m. Eastern Time here at Focus on Liberia. Thank you. Enjoy the song. We are all Liberians, and bye-bye.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our